Okay, this is a part 2 to the Sovereign Citizen Training for Law Enforcement Response series of videos. Here I'll try to keep it as short as I can and just go point by point through the video and just address some of the things that's being taught in this video that I believe are misleading the public terribly regarding what the sovereign stuff is. Now, just to point out, I do not consider myself a quote sovereign citizen, but I used to be involved with these kinds of people, and I saw what they were like and what they were about. They're simply people who care about the government being completely out of control and corrupt. They're actually very pro-government people. They just want government following their own laws and respecting the public's rights. I would think that'd be a very good thing. Now, what this video is doing is it's showing the 20%, a large percent, in this movement happens to have a lot of lunatics, and they're suggesting that that's what this movement consists of, is this 20% or so of lunatic fringe type people, which it does not. So let me start the video.
There are an estimated 300,000 sovereign citizens in America.
Okay, they're saying there's an estimated 300,000 sovereign citizens. To clarify that, I don't know where they get that number from, but John Stossel, a very well-known reporter, I think, for ABC News, did a whole documentary on the subject matter. To say there's 300,000, I would say there's much more along the lines of many, many millions of people. They may not be labeled sovereign, but they're people who know the government is out of control and corrupt, and they became victims of the government at some point when they realized the government didn't follow their own laws, and they fought back as best they could in a non-violent way. There's not 300,000 of these people. There's many, many, many millions of these kinds of people. It's just a matter of, do they do anything about it? So let's continue.
The FBI classifies them as a domestic terrorist movement. Many of these people followed a scary progression from passionate but peaceful to ultra-violent.
They will often use the label of domestic terrorism. Well, I would challenge anyone, if the government, say the judicial branch, is denying people due process constantly, which I've witnessed many times, and denying habeas corpus, for instance, which I've also witnessed 4 times live right in front of me, who's the terrorist? Is it the people who are trying to exercise inherent rights, or is it the government that is trying to make sure they can't?
Sovereign is an individual that interprets the Constitution of the United States differently. Sovereigns believe...
Now, I apologize, there's some noise in the background. What the person speaking on the video was saying, these are people who interpret the Constitution differently. Well, I don't even know where to go with that. There's lots of different ways of interpreting the Constitution, I suppose. I guess what I would say is, yeah, again, I don't consider myself associated with these people anymore. I do consider myself associated with people who are concerned. We do perhaps interpret the Constitution differently, just in that we believe in the inherent rights that it offers through its protections.
That the United States government is not a legitimate government, but is a corporation. So they will not have a driver's license. Okay,
so the idea of the corporation. Now, this is something that the sovereign folks, of course, can't prove. But what I would say, and I'm not going to expand upon this right now, but if you read the statutes, you can discern within the statutes, and again, I'm not going to go into details here because it's just heavy-duty stuff involving the interpretation of the words used in statute. By the way, we have Black's Law Dictionary and we have Webster's Law Dictionary. I'm going to expand upon that briefly. Why would we have 2 dictionaries? Why are 2 needed? Within that context to what I was saying, back to what I was saying regarding the statutes, there is a distinction in the statutes between 2 different entities. You can read it point blank in the statutes where they differentiate between one entity and another. So it's reasonable to assume that this could be, in fact, a corporation. What's so What would be so strange about that? In fact, I mean, of course, you'll never prove who the corporation is registered to, so to speak. As if you went out and registered a business corporation, you would register it with your state, and so on and so forth. Well, we can't prove who the United States is registered to, but why would it be unreasonable to assume that it is a corporation? Haven't you ever entered a nearby village or town and have seen the signs incorporated in 1916, 1936, whatever year? Incorporated in, as in corporation. A town and a village is incorporated? Why would it be so outrageous to assume that the United States is a corporation?
Vehicle registration, an insurance card, or anything in which there is some type of implicit contract, verbal or nonverbal contract, in which the United States government can hold sway over them as a slave. Sovereigns believe in two different things. Each of us are two distinct individuals. We are our free man, which is our flesh and blood, our human aspect, and we're our straw man, and that straw man is that corporate,
Okay.
if you will, to the United States corporate government.
Okay, so I'm going to bypass this. This is like a little cartoon that I think a lot of, quote, sovereign people are exposed to that explains the straw man concept. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here because I don't think I have to. What on earth is the Social Security number for then? Why are we assigned it? What I would love to see a video like this do, instead of come across as just being an authority that sort of condescends to and mocks the sovereign folks, why not instead bring out the law and show, no, this is not accurate, Mr. and Mrs. Sovereign Person. This is what the way things are. This is the way the law works. You do not have these rights, or count. My point is counter whatever these sovereign people are saying. Counter it with law. Show them in this all-powerful law how they are wrong. Prove them wrong. I mean, I think that would be a fantastic way to handle this. Instead of just having a video that you're showing to police officers that the general public here on YouTube is seeing that paints a picture of people without really backing it up with anything more than, again, the condescension and the mockery of what these people are doing. Use the law and show the public how these sovereign people are wrong. Show them how the Social Security number, for instance, is in fact part of being a man, so to speak. I mean, if people are assigned a Social Security number, doesn't that have to, by definition, separate the man from the fiction, so to speak? I mean, the fiction has to interact somehow with the rest of the corporation, so to speak. So, if you've ever been involved with the government, you know, I'll assume that most people haven't. What you'll find very readily is that their paperwork must adhere to these things. It must adhere to these corporate structures. You can't use the word man to refer to yourself, for instance. It's inapplicable. You can only use the word person or citizens. These are the words that they use. Why would they use these words if they weren't relevant? This is a very common sense, simple question. Now, to go back, Black's Law Dictionary versus Webster's Dictionary. We are all speaking common vernacular here. We all understand each other. But when you go into a courtroom, why would there be a different dictionary used altogether called Black's Law Dictionary? Mine happens to be exactly 14 pages larger than my Webster's Dictionary. Why would there be two different dictionaries? How can that not be proof positive that of course there's two different languages being spoken? What we're speaking here in the courtroom, you use this dictionary called Black's Law. When we're outside the courtroom, we use this one called Webster's. I'm asking people who make these videos and who want to preach to the public that sovereigns are lunatics, of which many of them are, why they're lunatics. Use your law and prove that they are. Another part is coming soon. Thanks for watching.